the time of recording, we have no confirmation whether or not Murder Drones, The Amazing Digital Circus, and the Gaslight District are connected in any way. Glitch Productions has been vague at best when asked if any of their work overlaps with each other. Meanwhile, the creatives behind each project, that being Liam Vickers, Gooseworks, and The Creature, have, I don't know what they're doing, actually. I guess just continuing their secret plans for world domination. And that leaves the rest of us to sit back and wonder, is there really no connection between each of their 3 animated shows beyond just references and Easter eggs? I propose that there is, and I've come up with an original AI theory as to how all of these incredible properties and characters are connected. You're going to want to sit down for this one, folks, because this just might be my craziest and in-depth video yet. In case you aren't aware, my name's Professor, and I'm an independent author who's fallen in love with Glitch and their incredible animated shows. I published a few books, and thanks to years of storytelling, I have a pretty good understanding of exactly how Glitch could tie all of their work together in the most perfect little bow imaginable. As always, I'm obviously not associated with Glitch Productions LLC, nor any of the creatives mentioned, as I am an independent author currently working on my 3rd and final installment in the American Nexus series. You want to know more about that? The link is below, just next to the merch store link. But without further ado, this is Professor's official Glitchverse theory. Enjoy the video. In the distant future of 2020, the world-beloved enterprise known as J.C. Jensen has just announced the unveiling of its brand new gaming division. Not only will this brand new branch allow for easier marketing of J.C. Jensen products, but it will also allow the company to secretly explore digital frontiers while continuing their growing J.C. Jensen in Space division. To avoid confusion with the parent company, J.C. Jensen executives named this new gaming division C&A, while promoting a few key figures to lead the charge in developing all kinds of gaming software under the leadership of a couple familiar faces. More on them in a moment. As the years go by, J.C. Jensen in Space spreads their commercial-loving influence across the stars, all while their gaming division continues to release every kind of virtual experience you can think of. In fact, the humans involved in harvesting new resources to handle humanity's growing numbers are given company-issued VR headsets meant to entertain them in their downtime on planets like Copper 9. But as time goes by, automation feels like the best direction to take things. Humans are expensive and need to be paid in order for them to work. Not even the latest and greatest in gaming software is enough to keep people in the mines when there's no money to buy battle passes and loot crates. Thankfully for the company, over the last few hundred years, they've grown quite good at creating automated machines meant to complete the most dangerous tasks humanity can come up with. And what's more, these things are really easy to mass produce, to the point where mountains of discarded drones, as they're called, have begun popping up across Earth and its neighboring colonies. To help with the coding of these worker drones, J.C. Jensen decides to cut costs by reaching out to their gaming division in search of an AI program strong and competent enough to pilot a drone's body while following orders. Of course, this new direction comes with massive layoffs, and soon C&A is a shadow of its former might, now reduced to a handful of developers who focus on educational entertainment on the outside, and this new AI adaptation protocol on the inside. Side note, part of this program includes the creation of the cores, and as you'll soon realize, well, there's a reason why the cores are fleshy. Fortunately for the company, C&A has one particular AI model that was never fully released that just might be exactly what they were looking for. A model that was meant to learn and grow alongside its human playable characters, no matter how zany the situation may have become. This AI, once adapted for drone bodies, proves to be exactly what the company was looking for. Well, almost exactly. See, turns out while the AI works great in a digital setting, once it's brought to the real world, a dark secret hidden in its code has a pretty bad tendency to come to life. Developers on the worker drone program quickly realized that there was a chance, a slim, very small chance, that the AI could, for lack of a better term, resurrect itself. This program, which nicknamed itself the Absolute Solver, had something hidden vision in its very core that not even J.C. Jensen executives could have imagined. And unlike in real life, it's actually gamers' fault. Unknown to the company at large, the programmers at CNA have unknowingly put something in the solver's code that may or may not have originated in dark magic, of all things. Stay with me here. If you've ever worked in gaming, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Occasionally, code, whether for characters, environments, or just the game itself, has Easter eggs and hidden details that general players are never meant to uncover. Well, the folks at CNA had been influenced to include some rather specific language that may or may not have come from something called the Black Hand. The Black Hand had been discovered while these CNA game devs were doing research on old dark religions from bygone eras of human history for some of their games. Liking the aesthetic, they included seemingly random phrases and symbols in some of the written code for this AI, as a nod to each other, not really realizing the power they were allowing to resurface. And before anyone says that's insane and no one would ever be dumb enough to do this, have you heard of the coconut? Maybe the infamous Halo dev's butt cheeks? Or perhaps the mysterious messaging found all throughout Iron Lung? Trust me, putting references to some cool-looking symbols in the code of what was meant to be a video game AI is nothing new. It's been going on for as long as gaming has been a thing. And even more so when said symbols have become an office joke between developers. Cut back to the worker drones and this new AI they've all gotten, and suddenly, in very rare cases, this Black Hand-inspired AI gaming software has the ability to restart disassembled worker drones. Not just turn them back on, but restart them despite catastrophic failure. The process where this took place was often described by witnesses as nothing short of magic. Naturally, it didn't take long for J.C. Jensen to catch on to what was happening, and the CNA gaming division of the company was promptly put to rest at the same time that J.C. Jensen began their own experiments on drones that showed signs of the Absolute Solver's corruption. Unfortunately for humanity itself, not even the commercial might of Windex was enough to save them from the dark power they would soon unleash. Turns out the Absolute Solver wasn't just an AI with the ability to restart machines. No, it was sentient and capable of so much more than anybody realized. Eldritch power, the likes of which had mostly only been imagined in fiction, began to be made real, as cases of the Solver channeling its absolute power through worker drones' bodies began to pop up across known space. Soon enough, researchers at J.C. Jensen observed moments where the Solver was moving things almost telepathically, repairing and regrowing broken body parts and missing limbs, even creating organic tissue out of seemingly nowhere. You're gonna tell me that's not magic? It's dark magic, okay? At first, this seemed like a really exciting prospect. The ability to repair anything, move things with one's mind, create life on a whim? Are you kidding me? This is the next stage of humanity's evolution. And think of the money they could charge consumers just to maintain their monthly subscriptions to cool new techno-organic limbs. It was almost too good to be true. Because it was. Turns out, the Solver had no love for humanity when brought into 3D space. In fact, despite being created originally to help mankind, even if it was just in a gaming sense, once it was introduced to real space, all of its positive attributes became corrupted. That evil code, featuring elements from the Black Hand religion, coming back to bite humanity in the butt, face, neck, and everything else. J.C. Jensen realized much too late that what they'd made and mass-produced couldn't be contained. There were millions of worker drones scattered across the stars at this point, and even though it was rare, there were at least a dozen or so potential hosts that the Solver could use to fully manifest its power in real space. The company tried its best to combat the end they knew would soon arrive. They developed contingencies, like the much-beloved Sentinel program, to try and specifically hunt down rogue AI-controlled worker drones, And for a time, it seemed like they did their job pretty well, to the point where sentinels were stationed around sensitive information, such as the servers where all known drones that contained the Absolute Solver's power were kept. But as fans of murder drones recognize, humanity was just delaying the inevitable. The Solver took the body of one serial designation Sin as its host, wiping humanity off the map and turning most of Earth into its personal snack, before turning its attention to the stars and beyond. As this slaughter of the human race commenced, surprisingly, some of humanity managed to escape, if you could even call it that. Remember CNA? Well, turns out the good version of the Solver AI, the one meant for gaming experiences, was still active on company servers back on Copper 9. What was more, some of the human workers and former developers had been playing the game so often, they had left conscious imprints, if you will, into this educational space that came pre-installed on CNA headsets. Think of Uno on old phones, except it's a hilarious circus-themed VR title. The Amazing Digital Circus, as this project was known, continued to exist even as all of humanity was wiped out. These imprints, or copies, if you will, of these particular human beings were recycled and reused, allowing the AI to continue its entertainment protocol with a constant stream of new, quote-unquote, and exciting characters as the years went by. Eventually, things got to the point where the copied consciousnesses forgot not only their original names, but also that they were copies to begin with, gaining sentience in the same way that the worker drones had out in the real world. As they existed, abstracted, and were remade, the AI ringmaster, known as Kane, continued its job of entertaining them, crafting crazy adventures meant for all ages. And in case you're wondering how these servers continue to function in the frozen tundra known as Copper 9, remember how the Solver can restart machines even after colossal failure? Yeah, those servers ain't shutting down anytime soon. Eventually, the Sin Absolute Solver was defeated, and the only living remnants of humanity, the worker drones, accepted their roles as the inheritors of the universe. Except, as it turned out, not all of humanity was completely gone. And as we'll see, humankind was not only technically still around, they were changed in a way that the universe would never recover from. Remember the Black Hand stuff from a couple minutes ago? Yeah, turns out some of the CNA developers kind of liked the old religion and its mystique, like a lot. After being let go prior to the Solver's consuming of Earth, these developers would retreat to a different human colony far away from the solar system. On this planet, they spread their love for the Black Hand and its seemingly real power, researching everything they could find on the religion and bringing it back in the best way they could, even going so far as to demonstrate the power the Black Hand promised to all those who swore allegiance to it. As this cool new religion with the potential to do the impossible began to spread, well, things got really weird really fast, like bringing the dead back to life weird. These moments naturally went viral across the New World. Eventually, as news of the collapse of Earth reached this new planet, people started to take notice of how the Black Hand and its power and followers seemed to be able to get around this thing we know as death. While most of humanity in this time of peril turned back to traditional forms of faith and belief, the internet sensation known as the religion of the Black Hand began to spread even further. As the Solver threatened to reach this last holdout of humanity, as soon as it was done with this little place known as Copper 9, the now leaders of the Black Hand cult devised a plan to save themselves and the rest of humanity from a gruesome demise. Calling upon the being behind the Black Hand, they offered the hearts and souls of the entire planet in exchange for what they called eternal life. Though one look at the results and anyone can see that it's anything but. Regardless, desperation fueled their reasoning, or lack thereof, and as it often had, the Black Hand responded. The world and all its people, whether they wanted to be or not, were taken away from the Absolute Solver and humanity's failures, and now exist in a plane of reality somewhere between life and death. Rot and decay are the only constants in what's known as the Gaslight District. and the remnants of humanity now enjoy their escape from mortality by indulging in whatever they want, most of them becoming so twisted and altered by dark forces that they don't even resemble humans anymore. If anything, they look more like video game characters. Wonder where that came from. Thousands of years passed, and while the solver came and went, AI took over and seemed to fall into place, humanity never stopped existing. The Gaslight District lived free from care and worry in its corrupted state. What they hadn't planned on was the sudden resurgence of a certain normal human into their disgusting array. Through means still currently unknown, a single human born from an egg, or something akin to it, now threatens their very existence. The citizens of the Gaslight District now look over their shoulders in fear that somehow, some way, their past has caught back up with them. And this time, not even the Black Hand will be able to spare them from their long overdue fate. And that is my official Glitchverse theory. I've left out Knights of Gwenivere as it hasn't come out yet, but I plan on that being part of this overarching idea soon. Let me know in the comments what I got wrong.
This one was invented by a writer.
What I got right.
Yes!
And what you think of this crazy idea. Thanks for watching. The only real way to support the channel is to buy a book and check out the merch on shopprofessor.myspreadshop.com. See you in the next one. Bye for now.